What's up, guys? It's me, Ravologist. Today, I will be doing a Ableton Live 11 recording tutorial on how to get recording results like this. I'll be going over basics of recording, such as how to set up the tracks, how to set up the recording, and also going a little bit into depth about setting up latency settings to reduce the latency that you may get while recording. I'll also be going over ASIO drivers, which ones to use, pros and cons to them, and yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so first things first, what you want to make sure is that your audio settings are set up correctly in Ableton preferences. My apologies. For example, driver type, and then the audio device, and so on. So, for example, a default one would look something like this. This would be your computer's main processing. Yeah, DirectX. So the computer's main processing unit. No external audio interface, nothing. It's just your computer processing it. And with that comes some issues dependent on how your computer is. You may get crackling and all that if you're trying to get really low latency, which is what we don't want. So in order to counteract that, you may want to get a better audio interface, a computer with better processing. However, that's the more expensive option. You can just stick to getting an audio interface and so on. So first things first, what I recommend is going into ASIO, and you have a lot of options depending on what you have. So for example, I have ASIO for all, AudioBox ASIO driver, FL Studio ASIO, and so on. Me personally, I was trying to figure this out recently, like, man, how do I just get rid of all this latency but still get a clean recording? Well, one that works really well is ASIO for all v2. Now the only problem is, and this is like the hugest, not a word, biggest con, is that it, I would say, hijacks the audio of your computer to where you can only hear what's coming from your DAW. Say if you're like watching a YouTube video, well, that's not gonna play the audio. It's just gonna be straight audio from your DAW, nothing else. And what then you have to do to get the audio back on the rest of your computer is restarting your computer, which is tedious and annoying. So if you are primarily just going to be recording and don't care about that, use ASIO for all. Now, if you're like me, who likes to have some, I don't know, background noise, maybe some rain, whatnot, YouTube tutorials, music, I found out about Flex ASIO. I can show, for example, what that is exactly. So if you go here, it's a GitHub page. I have it downloaded. I found this out from another tutorial about ASIOs and how to not, have your audio hijacked. It works pretty well. I could show you what that looks like now. So there's two things. There's Flex ASIO, and then there's the GUI Flex ASIO, which you want to get both of those, because if you don't, then you have to do a editing of I think it's called a TOML file, and it's just rather tedious when you could just get the GUI and it looks like this. So for me, what I recommend is keeping this the same. Here's your buffer size settings. This is important. And then here's your input device and output device. So for me, I want my output device to be my headphones, what I have on. So speakers high definition audio device is that. But the thing that my synthesizer is putting audio through is the line for AudioBox USB. I specifically have the PreSonus AudioBox. It's a retired version of it though. I should probably upgrade soon. But that will be soon. So after you have all your settings put in, you then hit save to default Flex ASIO and it'll put in all the settings and you should be set from there. I'll show you what the different settings do in a moment, specifically this one, because this is the only one you really need. So I'm going to exit out. And a few other settings are going to be pretty important is driver error compensation. And all these numbers are going to be pretty important. And yeah, so let's go ahead and start the recording process. So first things first, I want to record my synthesizer. Best way to do that is, for one, to do external instrument, load that, and so you get this little option. So you have MIDI to and an audio from. My Model D is plugged in with a MIDI cable, so I just hit Model D, missed it, and then the audio input that my audio box is receiving the audio from Model D is port 1, so I do that. So then now, if I put on my keyboard, I get audio. Cool. And it's pretty instant. Cool. So now, let's say I want to record a little clip, a little bass line, for example. Let's do that. No pencil. Oh wait, no, sorry. I want this, but no pencil. Alright, let's say I want like a triplet rhythm. Like this. And I'm just gonna repeat it. So here we have it. Cool. Now, you could just leave it as that, or if you want to utilize the synthesizer for multiple lines of notes, like say, oh, I want the Model D to do bass, and then later on I actually want to use the Model D for a lead, you're going to want to record. Unless if you have multiple Model Ds, of course. I do not. So I'm going to show how to handle that issue. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have external input, and you're going to want to select 1. That's our audio import 1. And you're just going to want to hit this red button. Start it by hitting this red button. Start the recording process, that is. And this is what will happen. Cool. So we actually have a recording. Now here's another thing. As you can see, I have a very slight bit of latency. If you look at the bottom left, it says, if I'm correct, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, but 0.028 milliseconds. It's like not a full millisecond, so 0.28 milliseconds or something like that. It's just really slight, but for people like me, I hate that. So one thing you can do is you could just edit the silence out and move over, and boom, it's in time. Perfect time. However, maybe you just want it to record right every single time, so you don't have to keep doing that. So what you can do to answer that is there's a hardware latency option here. You can up that and play with it to figure out. Here, I'm going to drop this down so we can compare. So I'm going to put maybe 28 milliseconds and see what that does to it. All right, recording in 3, 2, 1. All right, so better results. We have even less latency. However, there's still some. So what was before 28, or like that weird 0.28, is now 0.14, and I went up 28 milliseconds. Now, I don't know if this is going to be correct math, but if I go to 56, it should be perfectly in time to record. So let's compare those, and then let's do a new recording. Alright, so as you can see, now it is way ahead of itself. So this is the part where this gets tedious, but if you really want to set it up right, you gotta mess with this. So now we'll just do 50 milliseconds recording. Alright, to not play the whole thing, as you can see, slightly out of time. So let's just go to 48. 47. Let's try that. And then I'll not play the whole thing. Still slightly out of time. So let's try 43. Okay, close enough. As you can see, this part gets tedious about messing with the settings and trying to get that right perfect latency. Alright, to go back on buffer size, what buffer size is basically buffer size. The higher the buffer size, I just said buffer size a bunch of times, but anyways, the higher amount, the more latency there will be. So obviously, playing with the settings of here and in here, and also, for example, external instrument, you want to get the best setting for you. You don't want crackling, but you want as low as latency as possible. You have to mess with these settings to get the finite settings to get your result you want. Alright, so for this next part of the tutorial, right now in my lap is my guitar, and I'm going to show you how to, one, monitor your guitar sound in Ableton, and two, how to record it, but the best results. So, for step one, say you create a new audio track. Or this one. New audio track. So, right off the bat, this is pretty simple. All you have to do is, it's already set to external input. So, what you just need to do is, as you can see, I'm messing with my guitar, there's feedback. Just hit in. You know. Obviously, try and not get it to clip. But yeah, there's the raw signal. So, first things first. Say I wanted to add some distortion, you know, like let's utilize Tim Henson. Okay, we're not going to do distortion. We're going to just do this one basic preset. I believe it is right here. And by the way, I highly recommend these plugins for guitars. It's really nice. Because now, got some new audio. With that new source of audio with the effects, your next step, if you want to record this, is you hit insert audio track and resampling. I'm just going to change the color because I don't think those colors, those colors definitely don't go together. Those colors blend in pretty well. That's just me wanting to get that right. But yeah, so now we got this recording. This is set up for resampling and everything. I'm gonna actually change the sound, make it a little more noticeable. There we go. Okay, cool. So yeah, now that we have that, I'm just gonna turn on the metronome and do some strumming if I can find a pick. There's one. Set up and it'll begin recording soon. Okay, so I myself, as a guitar player, am really bad at playing in time, but this right here should be your audio. So if you try and listen back, it actually should be. Yeah, so that's how you get those sources. Of course, another option that you can do is if I don't want the effects to be applied, because there is one thing to note, is when you add a plugin, it'll add latency. So there's 2.2 milliseconds of latency for a recording. So one thing you can do is delete that. I'm going to put it on the recording channel. And then say if you still, instead of just listening to a raw guitar signal, you can open up, for the archetype series of plugins, you can actually open up like the not VST version of it, just a desktop example. This is not the same preset I have, so it's gonna sound a little weird, but oh, sorry. Let me fix that. Oh, I exited out. That's my bad. Okay. Sorry. Let's just turn it down a little bit. You know, you got that. And then you can record again, as so. So this is your raw output signal. Just sounds like this. Oh, sorry. As you can see, there's a little bit of latency. I think that's just my playing though, to be fair. But then I take it and I put it into here and of course, in the world of audio editing, you can just do this and it's a pretty good time. But of course, this is the guitar plugged straight into the audio interface, which then is routing the audio into the DAW, which then I'm recording using this similar functions to the way I recorded my MIDI analog synth. I hope you found this video helpful in your journey to trying to get good recording that you want, whether that's getting latency out of the picture or just how to record in general. At first, I was very confused about the whole latency part, but I finally figured that out with the help of a few tutorials, and I thought that I should make a tutorial on how I see it and how it makes sense to me, and I hope it's helpful for you all. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, you know, that classic thing that all the YouTubers say. And on another note, I just released some new music about a week ago called Death and Spectrum. It's 3 songs. It's a drum and bass single / EP. I put it as a single, but I guess I could have technically put it as an EP. But that's besides the point. The intro song of this video was Take My Life, the second drop. And if you want to support me, it would be very appreciated if you went ahead and listened to that. Yes, I am editing this video as I'm recording it. Fight me. Anyways, bye.